guys, and very welcome at the Swiss Trading Society STS. In this video, I'd like to show you how to install and how to configure the STS Cockpit and Cockpit Remote. The first thing, if you've bought the Cockpit and Cockpit Remote indicator, you will get an email by Digistore24. This is the vendor through which we sell our products. If you get this email, you will find the license key there. The license key is something we need afterwards, and quite important here, you have a link for the download page for both Cockpit and Cockpit Remote. So please click on that link, and that will open this download page for you. The red button helps you to load the zip file in which you find both indicators, STS Cockpit and STS Cockpit Remote. The X4 always indicates we're talking about an indicator. So next step, we switch to the MetaTrader Form software. MetaTrader 4, you see I have my demo account of GoMarket here in the software. And what we want to do to install the indicators, it's always the same procedure. We open the data folder of the instance or the installation. That brings us pretty deep down in the folder hierarchy of our system. Here we have the instance of MetaTrader 4 we're working with. And here in the subfolder of MQL4, we find another indicators folder. And that's the place where we need to put our files into. So I open my download folder, I grab those two files and copy them into this indicator folder of my MetaTrader 4 installation. That's everything I have to do. I don't need to do it here because I already have installed the two files in my system. A last step you have to do after you've closed the whole Windows, you right click on indicators and you refresh all the list of all the indicators you have here. And now you will see we have the STS Cockpit. To open it, to activate the STS Cockpit, just draw it onto your window with the chart candles. You will immediately see the preferences and everything of the STS Cockpit. Here, please choose the folder Inputs. And here we have now to paste the license key we got by email. So here at the very beginning, grab the license key, copy, paste. We enter it here, of course, without the key license part. This is good. And now we're done. You see the buttons down here. They're, for my installation and for my screens, just too small. Therefore, I want to change that by opening the indicators window, Control I for indicators, or I just use the right hand button on my mouse and open the indicators list here. Okay, and I'm already back in the properties and inputs of my STS Cockpit. So you see, we have different sections here. First, the symbol button size settings. You can adjust the height, the width, and everything of your buttons. Maybe we quadruple the numbers here, 72 to 200, maybe a little more space in between the buttons, something like that. And maybe at the same time we also change the font size from 7 to, let's say, 24 points, and the same here. So click OK, and you will see what we've just done. You see by now, the font size is too big. So I go back in here. Let's say we try 18 pixels. Close it, and it's perfect. So this time the buttons are pretty big. Maybe you like it that way. If that is too big for you, no problem at all. We change again. If you find the pre-install configuration you want to use all the time, you just save. You save the set of all your properties as I did here. And if you want to use them again, you just load them and you're done. That's, for example, the configuration I like to use all the time. That is pretty much everything you need to know on how to configure your cockpit. If we go back, you see all the other properties you might change or not. So you can also change the color of your buttons. You can change, for example, how this should look like if you highlight one of the buttons. That's this aquamarine here. If you want to change that to gold, no problem at all. Now it's gold and all this kind of stuff. So just check it out and store it the way you want them to have. Now, let's do a second chart window with the cockpit remote. Therefore, we open another chart window. Here I have my template as well. I want to load the template so that this looks like I like it to look. I have now those two windows. I've already started the cockpit on the left-hand window. Now I want to start the cockpit remote on my right-hand window. Therefore, I grab the cockpit remote, I put it here, and you see there are three other inputs you might change. For the time being, we don't even touch that, we just leave it the way it is. For now, if we change the currency pair here, nothing happens with our second window. It stays the same, even though we swap the currency pair on the cockpit window. If you want to change that, no problem. We just go back to the cockpit remote settings and you change the value here on true. It's called sync symbol with cockpit. As soon as you put this value on true, the both windows are interconnected, and the moment I swap the currency pair in my main window, it's also swapped in the other one. Another point, let's take this currency pair here. You see there are quite some trend lines. There is a supply and demand line and stuff like that. And I've drawn that in my main cockpit window. Maybe I have another supply and demand line I want to put in here, let's say this level here, more or less, and we will see. This is also represented on the right-hand window. Only point, only problem, if I change something in my cockpit remote window, like here, it's not reflecting on the main window. Why is this? Well, that's another property we might change in the cockpit remote. It's this read only. Read only means all the things you draw on the remote cockpit window is not reflected in the main chart window. In other terms, as long as I draw a line in here as I did before, it won't be reflected in the main window. If I want to change that, I change the read only to false. And this means as soon as I draw a line here in my remote cockpit, it will be changed in the other window as well. This is not going to happen with the drawings I made as long as the two windows have not been synchronized yet. But if I draw a new line here, the new line is also drawn in my main window. One last point, you see, we have the different currency pairs here reflecting the list of your market watch. In other terms, if you want to change how the buttons are arranged here, you just change your market watch. Let's say I want to have the pound Japanese yen pair as the very first one in row. I grab it, put it up here, and as soon as I click the next button on my cockpit chart, it will be the first button here as well. If I want to have, let's say, the Swiss franc Japanese yen as second in row, I grab it in my market watch and it's reflected automatically in the list of your buttons in the cockpit window. Now you know everything you need to know about Cockpit and Cockpit Remote. We hope you save a lot of time doing your analysis every time you want to start a trade, much more efficient than ever before. You find the signals to start a trade faster, and we wish you to find all the market opportunities faster than ever and being as profitable as never before using STS Cockpit and Cockpit Remote. All the best and see you soon.